Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson, and I'm flying solo today. My amazing co-host and producer, Jade Harrell, is out on a little personal leave. But no worries at all. We've got another awesome member of our production team here to handle the recording today so I can deliver you guys a powerhouse episode. Now, as we know, it's not the things that we do every now and then that tell the real tale of our body, our health, our appearance, and also the success in our lives. It's the things that we do on a consistent basis. And I love that Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And today's episode is all about how do we build healthy habits? What's going on in our mind and bodies as we're developing and building these habits? And also, we're going to talk about some of the daily practices that I found to be most effective. This time of year is a time of change. And around when this episode is being released to you guys, some people have already fallen off the wagon, quote, fallen off the wagon from their New Year's resolutions. But this is a call to arms. This is a call to get back on your game, or also to strengthen your game in a really profound way by adding in what you're going to learn today. Really, really great content on the way to you guys. So be prepared to take a lot of notes. I'm going to share some of my practices that I've implemented over the last months and weeks and that I found to be really, really effective because I've been studying this stuff about how do we build habits, what's going on in the brain. So I'm going to share all that stuff with you guys today. But first, let's give a huge shout out to our show sponsor, Onnit.com. Head over to onnit.com/model and you're going to get 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. I'm a huge fan of the krill oil, right? Today, just this very morning, I had the krill oil along with my breakfast. It's critical to get those essential fatty acids, those omega-3s in particular, DHA, because it's really important for really modulating a lot of things that are going on in your body, in particular, really helping the health and structure of your cells, the cell membranes, right? So this is the membrane of the cell, and listen to the name, membrane. It's sort of like the brain of the cell. You know, for many years in biology, common biology, people would think that the nucleus is where the real brain of the cell is because the DNA is located there. And that's true. However, there's a process called enucleation where you can actually go in and remove the nucleus of the cell, and that cell can live on for several months, all right, without a brain. If we take your brain out, the show is over, you know? So it's really not the brain of the cell. The membrane of the cell is where a lot of the information and communication between all the other cells in your body and your nervous system is really located. This is why essential fats are so critical to our nervous system, to the health of all of our cells. And your body's upwards of 100 trillion cells that make you up. And the communication between those cells is of the utmost importance. All right, so krill oil is a great source of DHA. So check that out. Also a huge fan of the Earth Grow Nutrients, which is their green superfood blend. I think everybody should be on a green superfood blend because of just all the stuff we're dealing with today. You know, it's a little bit of a health insurance. And it's a little bit deeper than what you would find, well, actually a lot deeper than what you would find in those random vitamins, so-called vitamins you'd find at the convenience store or, you know, your local department store, the Centrums and all that kind of stuff. You know, that stuff is really chemically isolated and processed, whereas Earth Grow Nutrients is something that is from, number one, Earth Grow Nutrients, but it's processed in a way that you're retaining a lot of the phytonutrients, enzymes, vitamins, and minerals in a more natural state. So head over and check them out, onnit.com/model for 10% off. Now let's go ahead and dive into our show for the day. So today we're talking about building healthy habits. How do we actually do that? How do we get our minds and bodies to just do the things that we want them to do without a lot of struggle? You know, it's just so hard. It's so hard getting out of bed. I don't know where my shoes are. You know, just the struggle, the little small things that we use and the excuses that come up for us to do the things we really want, whether it's with your health, whether it's with your relationships, whether it's with your business and your career. You know what's possible for you. You know that you can be playing at a much higher level, and that's what I'm going to hold you to today. But it's very, very difficult and challenging if you don't have the right strategy in your hand to make it automatic, to make it a part of who you are. So if you're like a lot of people, then just coming out of the holiday season, you probably felt a little weird. You know, you felt like, especially between the time of Christmas and New Year's, like, I don't know what day it is. I don't even know what my name is. Is it the 28th? Is it the 30th? I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I know I wanted 2016 is my year. It's just kind of a lot of randomness going on, but you physically probably feel a little bit off. You feel a little off your game. You might not feel the same energy levels that you feel consistently. And it's for a very specific reason. And that's because your daily routine is probably different. And humans, whether we understand this or not, we are really a part of nature, and we have a certain circadian rhythm, or we're going to call it a body clock, that is synced up with all of life itself. It's synced up with nature, with how everything is moving around in the universe. And that body clock is not that much different from the time on your wristwatch and the time on your cell phone. All right, it's linked up with what's going on with how the planet is rotating around the sun. And so we have a hormonal rhythm, hormone secretions that happen at certain times of day that our body is always trying to fall in sync with, because our brains and our bodies like routine. When we get outside of that, really interesting things start to happen, and some positive, some not so positive. So what's going on as well, and why it's difficult in kind of figuring things out around the holiday, is that behaviors are also linked together. There's a neural association that's created between you getting up at a certain time of day, doing a certain thing, and you feeling a certain way. All right, these things are linked up. So as soon as you're not doing the normal thing your body's expecting you to do, you're going to have a different feeling, and it's probably going to be some type of a stress response. So just want to say that I relate to you, and I totally understand. There was even though I'm talking about this stuff, I was very consistent for the most part, but of course, there were times during this holiday season that I took off. I watched a lot of TV, little superhero shows. I didn't know there's so many, Flash and whatever, Jessica Jones, all this stuff. I'm a big superhero fan, as well as my family. And so just checking out some of those shows, and, I haven't watched a lot of TV over the past few years, and just, it's really interesting. I just got to give a little sidebar. Are you guys kidding me? I mean, how many shows are there? It's like this time, being alive, how does anybody do anything? I'm seriously concerned and curious, because I had no idea. And everybody's bringing their A games to creating these shows, so you really have to be an exceptional person to not find yourself implanted into your couch or chair watching television all day, every day. It is an impressive feat in of itself. You need to be given an award if you can do that. But not to say that just some of that stuff is absolutely cool, but we also have to take into account, what kind of body do we want to have? What kind of life do we want to have outside of television? Because the people on TV are making moves while you're watching them, rather than you making moves and doing great things in your own life. So just a little sidebar there. So now let's talk a little bit about what are healthy habits. Well, we all know about what unhealthy habits are. These are things that lead to poorer health, that lead to a loss of function, that are unhealthy coping mechanisms, that are often picked up without much thought or conscious effort being put into them. Those are generally what unhealthy habits are. Whereas healthy habits, on the other hand, these are things that lead to greater health. They improve mental, physical, and emotional function. They are healthy coping mechanisms, i.e., they help to address stress in a way that's advantageous to the individual. And they're often developed, and this is contrary to unhealthy habits, they're often developed with practice and conscious effort put into them, which is a big difference, because again, the unhealthy habits we tend to fall into without much conscious thought or effort. So the question is, and this is where the real work is going to be at for you guys, as well as myself, is finding out, why is it that we have to try, quote, try to create healthy habits, whereas unhealthy habits come so easily? So we're going to go ahead and break this down. Well, number one, where the real conversation begins, is that this is the way that our modern society is structured. It's really as simple as that. In past generations, we would have normally chosen to eat real food, farm to table, because that was close proximity. Proximity is power, and that's what was available to us. Today, we have moon pies, we have honey buns, we have double stuffed crust pizza, we have fried Snickers, we have all these different, I just like saying Snickers, right? But we have all these weird, grotesque monstrosities that we identify as food today, and everybody has easy access to that if you're living in the quote, developed world, all right? And it's very cheap for the most part. So automatically, the way society is structured, where at one time, this wasn't even something that was an option. Everything was farm to table, whereas today, almost nothing for the majority of people in this country is farm to table, right? It's about proximity in the structure of society itself. Also, potentially harmful substances, because when people think of unhealthy habits, and I know as you think of an unhealthy habit, you might think of something like smoking, like a smoking habit, or a drinking habit, or some type of other compulsive behavior. So another way that the society is structured today is potentially harmful substances like certain types of drugs and alcohol are available for practically everyone in this country at any time. And here's a big key, is that their use is often sensationalized by media. So what comes to mind for me is when we talk about unhealthy habits and we talk about something like cocaine, for example, I remember the movie Scarface and seeing that as a teenager. And he basically just dumped his face into a pile of cocaine, And some people are going to identify with that and like, oh, Scarface is so cool because this is a legendary movie. And look what he did. He did a little coke, well, he did a lot. And he turned out to be like a legend, So it's just how our society sensationalizes things and makes them more attractive. The cool person smoking. Nobody in their right mind, especially as a young person, is going to pick up a cigarette and smoke it and be like, this is delicious. This makes me feel awesome. The first time, you're probably going to cough your lungs up, and you're probably going to experience a significant amount of pain. And you'll wonder why anybody would do this. But you would continue on that path because you want to be cool. You want to be part of the cool media as well. If you identify with if your hero is smoking, or if the people in your peer group, so this is the stuff we're picking up today. And it's not necessarily something that is natural, nor something that we would biologically or evolutionarily speaking want to move towards. It's something that's forced upon us by our environment. Another great example of this is getting fresh air and exercise. Again, this would have been normal for generations in the past, but they didn't call it getting fresh air and exercise. They just called it living. Today it's something we have to proactively do. We have to proactively get out of the city at time to get some fresh air. We have to proactively do what we've got to do to get to the gym or to our home workout or whatever the case may be, because our daily lives for a lot of us are sedentary. We're no longer manual labor workers, we're knowledge workers for many different industries. So understand, again, it's the way that society is structured that's leading to unhealthy habits. And the bottom line with this is that today we have to make a concentrated effort to get exercise because it's not the societal norm. It's not something that just comes naturally and easy because a lot of other people aren't doing it. We're talking about a fraction of the population who exercise regularly or even live an active lifestyle. So that's why it's naturally going to be a little bit more difficult to make that a part of who you are initially. But that does change, and that's really what I want to talk about next. So how do we turn this around? What do we need to do to make healthy habits just as easy to implement and to make a part of who we are as the unhealthy habits that we fall into? And I want to share a little piece with you that is about learning. There's ultimately 4 stages of learning any new skill or habit. And we all go through these things from not knowing something all the way to it being a part of who we are. And stage 1 begins with something called unconscious incompetence. Okay, unconscious incompetence. This is basically you don't know what to do and you don't know that you don't know what to do. All right, you're completely oblivious to it. So a good example of this for me is where I began with nutrition and food. When you're a kid in particular, if no one around you is educating you on this stuff as you get a little bit older, you don't know what healthy food is and what it's not. You're just eating stuff, and you're hopefully eating stuff for you that tastes good. That's all you're concerned about, So at the beginning, I was unconscious and incompetent to the fact that there's even a difference in food. I just thought that if you can eat it, it's food. And that's where my energy was residing. That's where my focus was just eating food that tasted good. Now, with that said, we move from that place once you start to become more aware into the second stage, which is conscious incompetence. This is where you know that you're messing up. You know that you're doing something that doesn't work. You know that you're doing the thing that's not advantageous to you as a sovereign individual, right? So it's conscious incompetence. And that can be pretty jarring for a lot of people when you realize, whoa, wait a minute, I've been doing this wrong for all this time. And that creates that energy that is then moved into the conscious competence. That's the third stage. And this is where we know what to do and we're doing it, but we have to put conscious effort into it. And this is where the beginning of building healthy habits comes from, is the conscious competence. All right, so this is where we start to take action to put pieces into place to get the result that we really want. You know, we found out, hey, wait a minute, this Big Mac sandwich is actually not good for me. The Big Mac sauce, I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it is. So I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna start eating healthier foods. I'm gonna start eating foods that's grown locally. I'm gonna start to eat real food that I can actually recognize where it came from. I'm gonna start to eat foods that don't come along with a mascot or a toy, all right? And so when we become aware of this and we start to choose to do that thing, we have to put conscious effort into it until we reach the fourth stage, which is unconscious competence. This is where you don't have to think about doing the thing. You no longer have to think about doing the thing, and you have acquired that skill and it's become a part of who you are. So some other examples of that is, again, we could talk about a negative one would be smoking. You know, the unconscious incompetence, you don't know what a cigarette is when you get here. You know, you don't know and you don't know. But me growing up in an environment where people were actually smoking, adults were smoking in my presence as a kid growing up, you start to become aware of that thing. So you have a conscious incompetence. You can see it and you know that it's kind of messed up, but you don't really know it intimately yet. And so when you take that cigarette, all right, you take it and you take that first puff and you experience that you are incompetent in this field, and you have the coughing and you have the very bad feelings from taking that first puff, then you realize like, hey, I'm not good at this. But then a lot of people will move on to the next stage. They'll keep forcing themselves. They'll force their body to take that discomfort and that pain until it becomes a conscious competence, something that they do on a regular basis, but they have to think about it like, yeah, I should go smoke a cigarette with my friends. And then eventually it becomes an unconscious competence where a person is just jamming through a pack or two a day and they don't even think about it. Hand, cigarette. They're just linked up, right? If you're not talking or on the phone, or even if you're doing both of those, you're probably smoking a cigarette, you've got a cigarette in your mouth, all right? And it was all developed by going through these four stages. More simpler example of this is tying your shoes, another positive one. When you first get here, again, shoes are not even a concern to you when you're a little kid, but as you get a little older and people start putting shoes on you, and then you can start to do this yourself, you go from the unconscious incompetence of anything to do with tying your shoes, you don't even know that it's important, to a conscious incompetence. Like you're aware, like, hey, wait a minute, I've got to figure this thing out because I can't keep on getting by with the straps. And so for anybody out there that can identify with this, I was rocking Pro Wings. You know, we were shopping at Payless. I remember when I was in elementary school and I didn't even know what Nikes were. You know, I didn't know what any of these fancy things were that a lot of people kind of grew up knowing about, you know, the Jordans or whatever. I had my eyes on these fancy tennis shoes at Payless that I just hoped my mom would get me. They were called Athletics, all right? And so I just wanted these shoes so badly. And they had straps on them, so I didn't even have to tie them. You know, so it was a double whammy. It was a double win for me. And once I got those shoes, man, did they smell ridiculous. They smelled so bad after just a couple of weeks of wearing those shoes. So sometimes there is some quality deficit. I don't know what's going on with Payless today, but I think they probably upped their game a lot. But just the quality of materials there definitely broke down a lot faster. And for a little kid running around all the time, yeah, it was a here today, gone today experience for me. But as I moved on, then it becomes something, a conscious competence. You know, you're aware of the process of tying your shoes and you can do it. So it's like loop it, swoop it, pull. You think about it. It's what's going on with my son right now, and we're teaching him that right now. Or the two bunny ears, however you did it, however you were taught, you got to think about it. But then all of us today, did you even think about tying your shoes? Chances are you didn't. It just happened in a flash. And if there was a world record for shoe tying, you'd be the champ. It's just something that just automatically happens. We don't even think about it. So just to recap with these 4 stages of learning, number 1, it really takes awareness first. That's the key. It's becoming aware of the things that are causing you troubles in your life, are causing you problems, these behind the scenes, seemingly invisible struggles, and really stepping back and being able to see what am I missing? What's actually holding me back that I might not have been even privy to that type of information. It's like when you become aware of the difference with food and making a decision that this is the food that I'm going to eat. And these foods are very, very different. It's not just about managing calories. It's about really looking at the food itself and what is built into that food naturally. So it's becoming aware of this. So that's number 1. It takes awareness first. Awareness trumps everything. Then it starts the unraveling process of the thing that's been subconsciously holding you back. Number 2, then comes the recognition of where and what you need to improve. The conscious incompetence. You become aware of the very specific things that you need to be working on. That it's like this thing I've been messing up on, and you become very, very aware of that thing, and you have to make a decision at this point. Do you choose to work on it, or do you choose to just kind of put that in the background until it becomes this alarm that goes off and you can barely hear it anymore? Which, truth be told, a lot of people in our society have fallen victim to that because, again, how our society is structured and not having the tips and strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and even understanding how this stuff works in the first place. And this is why you guys are the real models for this stuff and being an example and a light in other people's lives. And I truly appreciate you for that. I can't stress that enough. So the next thing is, then comes the conscious practice of the behavior change. And you've got to start to etch the grooves into the CD so that it plays the right songs automatically. And CDs are still out there, guys. I know we're on the iPods and all that good stuff, but for those who remember records, the vinyl, and also CDs, etching that information into the grooves of that CD so it plays the specific song automatically. And that takes the upfront effort to then it becomes a consistent practice. And this is the final stage, and it becomes a part of who you are. You just put the CD on and it's playing. Matter of fact, you don't even have to put the CD on. It's just playing on repeat on its own. All right. So many health experts out there have talked about the fact that if you really want to make a change, a major change to your health and to your body and the success that you experience in your life, then you have to make this a lifestyle, a quote, lifestyle. And I think everybody knows that, at least in some rudimentary way. But what you don't hear from a lot of experts is that creating that positive habit change and making it a lifestyle is not a simple process if you don't have the right strategy. And what you have to do is really stack the conditions in your favor to make the change doable. And another thing that you need is to have consistent examples. You absolutely have to have consistent examples in your life. And I hope that that's what I am to you, just part of that, your superhero team, to give you the right information, to give you the strategies, to give you the motivation and the insights to continue to improve yourself and to become the best version of you. And you have to have support. Accountability is huge, because again, the way society is structured is the way that has led us to so much illness and so much obesity and disease. So to change that, we need community as well. We really do. There's a lot of stuff that you can do on your own, but to really take it to that ultimate level, humans are social creatures and we need that. Even the most introverted person listening and, hey, what's up? I'm with you. I like my quiet time as well by myself, but we have to understand we do need that human interaction. We need people that are on the same mission and the same path as us, because that's what really makes the journey fruitful and also really makes it a whole lot more doable. And finally, with that lifestyle change, you have to understand that you have to keep moving forward despite the breakdown that might be going on around you. So what do I mean by that? Well, you make a decision that, you know what? I'm going to change my body and my health this year. I'm going to be an inspiration to my kids or to my family. And this is happening. Come what may, I'm on it. And you start that process, and all of a sudden, friends start saying little offhand comments to you. You know, what are you doing that for? You know, you're great the way that you are, or which is somewhat a positive way to present things, or, you know, who do you think you are? You can't do that. That's crazy. You've tried such and such before. How do you know that's gonna work? Why would you even risk it? Here's some cake, you know? And we all have those friends and family members that are oftentimes unconsciously sabotaging our process. You know, it's not because they don't love us or they don't care about us. It's because oftentimes, I've talked about this many times on the show, is that they don't want to lose us. Because as soon as your reference group and that reference point that you have starts to change, you realize that, wow, they're getting better. I need to move in that direction too. And a lot of people just don't naturally want to do that because of the stuff we've been talking about. They've been really broken down by society as well, you know, and they've become a head case and a toxic person to be around. And it's not necessarily their fault. It is their fault once they understand and become aware of it. It's their opportunity, or it's their responsibility to change. But if they don't know, they don't know. Because again, we all start with the unconscious incompetence, all right? So, and most importantly, to make this lifestyle change, to make it a part of a healthy lifestyle, to make it all of these changes a part of who you are, it's not just what the health expert says of, you know, you just make it a lifestyle. You just need to make it a lifestyle. It's deeper than that. Most importantly, you have to find happiness in it. If you don't have that, then you have nothing. You have a whole lot of struggle. And we're wired up a certain way. You know, we're always moving towards pleasure and away from pain. It's built into our genetic code. All right. So if you're not moving towards happiness and experiencing some pleasure along the way, it's going to be very difficult to maintain those changes that you're trying to make. And also, you have to allow yourself to be happy. And as crazy as that sounds, that can be a tremendous struggle for a lot of people today as well, where we need a reason. You know, you need a reason to be happy. And it's really unfair that we're taught this. Whereas when you're a child, happiness is just the name of the game. That's all you care about. You know, it's just play and happiness. And even giving to others. Like, we quickly move into that as well. I know that one of my son's most rewarding things in his life, and I can see it on his face, is when he does something for me and he makes something for me. Like, whenever I pick him up from school, we cannot leave there without him going to his portfolio. Like, we did that one time and he flipped out. You know, he's like, no, I made you something. We have to go back. And so we went back to the portfolio because he made me something and it was really important to him, right? So as we grow and evolve, we still have that same desire to do something for others, to give. And it's going to be a different variation of that, you know, but we have to allow ourselves to be happy through the process. We don't have to wait till we get to a destination and then be happy. We could be happy now. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and dive in, and we're going to talk about my daily strategy that I have going on right now, my routines, my healthy habits, and you'll be able to glean a lot of stuff from this. So we're going to get right to that. But first, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying today's show. I want to take a quick break and let you know about something that I'm really loving right now. If you're anything like me, you care a lot about the food that you're putting into your body. What's the problem though? Good food can be extremely expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Thrive Market is like Costco for everything healthy. An online shopping club offering the best brands and groceries at literally 25 to 50% off retail prices, shipped nationally for free. I'm just blown away by the fact that some of my favorite products, even the toothpaste that I use, I've been paying twice as much for, I get now at Thrive Market for half of the price. And it's just blowing me away. Even my favorite almond butter. You know, there's so many great things that these guys have access to. One of the best parts, you can easily filter everything by your preference. Paleo, gluten-free, vegan, raw, non-GMO, and dozens of other categories. The second best part is that for every paid membership Thrive sells, they give one away to a low-income family, be that a public school teacher or a veteran as well. So go to thrivemarket.com/model health, and you're gonna get a free 2-month trial and 15% off of your first order. When you sign up for the membership, it's literally just $59.95 a year, which is only $5 a month. But again, you get 2 months for free to try this out, and I know you're gonna be hooked because I am. And don't forget, for every paying member, Thrive gives away a free membership to a low-income family, veteran, or teacher, which is really powerful because it helps to get the playing field leveled for everybody who also wants to be healthy. So never pay full price again for healthy food. Go to thrivemarket.com/model health to start your free 2-month trial and get 15% off your first order. You have zero to lose and everything to gain. So check it out, thrivemarket.com/model health for your special free trial offer. All right, we are back. So we covered really in depth my daily routine in episode 97 of the Model Health Show. And I even gave away a free PDF with everything detailed and links to things that I mentioned. So you can go back and check out that episode. As a matter of fact, it's a must. If you haven't heard that one, wow. I mean, just the amount of messages that I received from that one, it's one of the most downloaded episodes of the show's history as well. It's in the top 10. So definitely check out that episode. But there's some things that are new now. You know, this was several months ago. This was pre a lot of changes that have happened in my life, which we'll talk about as we go through this, which I'm really excited to share with you guys. So now I'm going to share with you my new routine. So now, being that it's smack dab in wintertime right now, where we are today, my sleep schedule is different. And so I'm waking up, because in the original episode when we talked about this, I was getting up 5:30-ish. Now I'm waking up closer to 6 o'clock a.m. And I do this during winter months, and I've done this historically, especially since I've been studying sleep, because it's a natural human tendency to sleep longer when the days are shorter, all right? Humans, we're not nocturnal creatures. You know, some people are like, well, I'm a night owl. You're literally not an owl. You're not an owl. You know, we can work to make ourselves that way. And for many people listening, I know that they even get a lot of their best work done in the witching hours, you know, and that's a wonderful thing for sure, you know, to be able to give your gifts and to find the muse at those moments. But just understand, we've really evolved being a creature who operates in the daytime because our senses are really not geared towards functioning well in the evening. But, you know, in the last century, we've been able to trump nature basically by manufacture. We can manufacture a second daytime. It can just go from daytime to daytime. There is no nighttime because we can just light up our house or our business or wherever we're at and manufacture light, all right? And the effects that it's having on our body physically and mentally and emotionally is just now really starting to come forward. So just understand, during the winter months, this is a good permission slip from the earth for you to sleep a little bit more. All right, so, and for me, it's just gonna be either 30 minutes earlier I'm getting to bed / 30 minutes later I'm sleeping, all right? And now, as you know, we are moving out of that whole cookie cutter paradigm of you need to get 8 hours of sleep, you need to get 7 hours of sleep, whatever the case may be. It's really about being in sync with life and being in sync with nature and giving your body the best opportunity to be fruitful and to be operating at its optimal levels as far as hormone function, as far as its ability to burn fat. That's what it's really about. So after waking up, so we'll just say 6 o'clock a.m., the first thing that I do is take my inner bath, AKA drink about 32 ounces or around a liter of high quality structured water. Now we did, and this is in the top 10 as well, a show on hydration and water. So you can head back and check it out. It's called the Water Masterclass. And we'll put the links to all these episodes I'm talking about in the show notes. So go to themodelhealthshow.com and check out this episode, and all the links to those episodes will be there. So I'm drinking about a liter of that water as soon as I wake up. Why do I do this? And why do I do it first thing in the morning? Well, you guys know this, as the day goes on, stuff starts to happen. And a lot of times you can realize like, hey, I didn't drink enough water today. The best time to do it is when you are first getting up, nothing else is in the way, and you just go right over to your kitchen or wherever your water is at and just guzzle some down. So that's number one. It's just mere realization of how life can be. The second thing is, and more importantly, is biologically. Your body is going through a lot of detoxification processes while you're asleep. And your brain, so in your brain, there's actually called the glymphatic system, which is piggyback on the name of the lymphatic system that the rest of your body has. But your brain, there's a blood-brain barrier. And so it's a closed system. But it's also operating, again, on your brain is mostly fat and water. All right. So there's a lot of detoxification processes happening, and we need more water to be able to filter through all these different systems to eliminate metabolic waste products. And when you're sleeping, the glymphatic system is going to be about 10 times more active. So that means cleaning house is happening 10 times stronger. And that's just one area. It's a pretty important area being your brain. All right. So please understand that. You need to get up and help to flush that stuff out. All right. And you can even see this, real world talk. When you get up in the morning, your urine, your pee-pee is going to be pretty strong and dark as compared to most other times during the day, unless you're chronically dehydrated, which you shouldn't be through the rest of the day. But in the morning, you could see like, whoa, there's a lot of metabolic processing happening, and it shows right there. You can actually see it. So the first thing I do, get up in the morning, and I have my inner bath, right? I do that first thing. The next thing that I'm doing, which is a little bit newer that I've been doing the past 3 weeks, is journaling. And wow, I mean, it's just been a profound experience. This is something I've tinkered with over the years, but never this consistently. And it's thanks to John Lee Dumas's Freedom Journal. I actually got the journal a little bit earlier. He sent me a special copy, and it's been absolutely amazing. The things that I've been able to accomplish by scripting things out, by getting clear on things, by communicating some of the ideas in my head out on paper on a regular basis has just been life-changing. I've accomplished so much just in the past 3 weeks, leading to my big goal, because the Freedom Journal is really about achieving your biggest goal in 100 days, whatever that might be. And wow, there's so much momentum happening right now. It's like scary good. So that's what I've been doing after I drink my water. Then around that time, I'm gonna feel the urge, nature's calling, to go and take advantage of the squatty potty. All right. So this is another important thing that should be happening in the early part of the day. You should be having a bowel movement, getting the waste out of your system. And this is built into, again, your circadian timing system. There's certain times of day when your body is naturally going to have more peristalsis, where the internal organs, your small intestine, your colon, those muscles are going to be moving, telling you, hey, you need to go and handle the business. All right. So that's another thing that happens every day. And that's right after I journal, I go to the bathroom. Then after that, I start more of my kind of structured part of my day. And this is where meditation happens. And this is another thing that I've been experimenting with lately. As you know from past episodes, and in particular episode 97, we went through my daily routine, I really talked a lot about my meditation practice for many years, almost a decade now. But I was taught formally by an amazing teacher early on meditation techniques and practices. And there was a time in my life where I meditated for 32 minutes every morning. And I got to tell you, it transformed my life for sure. If people were to ask, how did I make quantum leaps? How did I move so quickly through this field of health and wellness? I would tell them the top thing, or one of the top 2 or 3 things, is meditation. It definitely had a huge impact on my life. And I really like to call it brain training. So there's no weirdness about even the word meditation. But I think it's a very powerful, important word. On the other hand, for our culture to have that conversation and how important it is to help to modulate stress and help you to really run your mind instead of your mind running you. And so one of the things that I've been doing lately are more mini meditations. And for you guys and for just people who are connected with me, I've been experimenting with a lot of meditation apps out there. So there's a lot of cool apps that are guided meditations. There's meditation music and stuff like that. So I've been experimenting with those. All right, and one of the big popular ones is Headspace. And again, I went through it a while back, and checked it out, but not like consistently doing it to see, hey, is this a really viable thing? Is it a really viable app? Does it really have some great effects? And from my experience thus far, I think it's wonderful. And it's a free app that you can download right to your phone, to your smartphone. headspace. There's a 10-minute meditation cycle. It's a guided meditation. Or you can do something that you are more familiar with. This is a time where also I do some Qigong as well. And we had Sensei Tristan Truscott on one of the early episodes of the Model Health Show. And it's just a game changer. I love Qigong. And that show was super popular. And a lot of people are doing Qigong now because of the effects that it has on their mind and body throughout the day. So it's more of like a moving meditation. And it's really great for people who have a really active mind. So meditation is after the wake up time, inner bath, journaling, squatty potty, meditation. And now is when I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have I call it Superman tea or Superman espresso. Or for the ladies, you can call it Superwoman tea. And this is a little bit different from what I was doing a few months back when I was experimenting with intermittent fasting a little bit more deeply for many months, almost a year actually. And I love doing that. But however, because of something that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, I'm starting to add in some nutrition early in the early part of the day. I'm still getting a nice chunk of fasting in, but instead of just having water in the morning until I would eat breakfast around 10:30 without anything, or maybe I would have, some herbal tea kind of thing, some green tea, something that doesn't have quote calories, but just keeping it really simple and keeping my body in that fasting state. Now I'm adding in some coconut oil that I get from Onnit, actually. I'll throw that in the blender with different teas that I'm using. So what I'm really into right now is this chai rooibos tea is really wonderful. If I want to get a little caffeine kick, I'm doing the pu'er. Or there's this wonderful company, actually, I have it right here, and it's a chaga tea from 4 Sigma Foods. And I've been really using this a lot lately. And it's from wild-crafted chaga extract. And as you guys know from listening to the show, chaga has upwards of 300% increase in your natural killer cells. So your immune system weapons kind of heightens their function and their order to basically modulate your immune system. It's called an immune system modulator because if your immune system is too low, it can help to bring it up. If your immune system is too active, it can help to cool down that internal party. But not just that, chaga is quite possibly the most antioxidant-rich substance on the planet as far as things that humans consume. All right, number 1, chocolate off the charts, acai off the charts, goji berries off the charts, red wine, really great as far as antioxidants are concerned. Chaga is more than all of them by a factor of like 5, right? So really great stuff. I got to tell you, does not taste the best. So, I put a couple of drops of English toffee stevia in there, add a little bit of cinnamon in there. But what I love about this is that this is something I've been talking about for a long time. It's a dual extraction. So it's water extracted and alcohol extracted. And that's really important because if you're buying a supplement or using chaga and you're only extracting it through one methodology, you're not getting all the goodies that are in there. So if you're only using one method, maybe you're just extracting the beta glucans. But if you're not using the other method, you're not going to be able to extract the triterpenes, right? Or the kind of steroidal compounds in there, or certain minerals or certain phytonutrients. That's why the dual extraction is really awesome. And I really appreciate them putting this product together. So that's what I've been having in the morning. So I blend that up with the coconut oil, and just to give me a little something, a little bit of energy, a little something in my belly, because I'm going to need it for what's coming up in just a moment. So as I'm having the tea, or while I'm making the tea, this is when I'm getting my kids ready for school and then dropping them off at school. So I'm dropping my son off at his high school, dropping my little guy off at his cool little Montessori school that he's at right now. And then my wife and I are heading to the gym. Now, this is different from several months back when we talked about this because I was training in the afternoon, which I've been a morning exerciser for years. I've been exercising in the morning as far back as I can remember. That's just really the time that I was getting it in my adult married life. Let me put it like that. And to do that experiment, I saw some really interesting things happen. I definitely seen a big uptick in my strength levels in the afternoon, which according to the research, that's obvious. You're physically going to be stronger and have a greater physical output in the afternoon. with the body temperature change, hormone changes, maybe a little testosterone peak. So I saw that happen for sure. But here's the thing, and also me loving working out in the morning, it's such a feeling of accomplishment, number one. But for me, also being at a place where I can choose, I love the opportunity that I get to work out with my wife, and that commonality, that time we get to spend together, that common goal, the mission, the bonding that happens, her pushing me definitely pushing her. I think it's just really amazing and something that's really beneficial in a relationship for sure. So, and because I've been working out with my son while he was in between football and baseball, he's had a little off season in the afternoon. So my wife is like, what about me? What about me? And so now she's really happy and working out in the morning together. And so that's why I'm having a little bit of the Superman tea in the morning, or sometimes I'll have and that's what I actually did yesterday, the hemp force protein from Onnit. I had a couple of scoops of that with some water and some cinnamon I threw in there as well, and hit the gym after having that. So you can work out fasted in a fasted state. I've done that many, many times, but my goal is not to be somebody who's getting some huge, insane calorie deficit or any of that stuff. I really want to optimize my workout and enjoy it and feel good during the workout. So that's why I'm having a little bit of something before working out. So another reason that I'm working out in the morning, and this is just, I want you to really take this on and understand this as well, and to have this in your back pocket, is that studies show that nearly 90% of people who exercise consistently exercise in the morning. That's just shocking statistic there, all right? Upwards of 90%, all right? Consistently. And this is what today's episode is all about, finding that consistency, creating healthy, positive habits. So if you're choosing exercise in the morning, kind of before the day starts, you're giving yourself a little bit of leverage that you might not get, because working out in the afternoon, I'll tell you, it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy sometimes I just didn't feel like it, but I'm one of those people where, no, I'm still gonna go, of course. But I definitely didn't feel the same thing as when I'm in the morning when I'm going to the gym and just being really motivated because it's a part of my morning. So again, I've seen that firsthand as well. Another thing is that excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC, is enhanced after working out as well. And to get that full benefit throughout the morning, which basically this means that your body is able to efficiently burn calories, and that is amplified throughout the rest of the day. Your body's ability to efficiently burn calories is amplified. All right, so you could do a little bit more of the quote fun stuff if you exercise in the morning, because your body's ability to process things is heightened thanks to that workout. So after wrapping up at the gym, I'm hitting the office around 9:30 to start my workday. And in this, I'm utilizing what I talked about in the last episode, which is chunking, all right, chunking my day. And a good guideline for this is the Pomodoro technique. And essentially there's 5 basic steps to implementing this technique. And this really helps to keep your energy high, to keep you sharp, because if you're like me, once you get involved in work, you can just keep going. But there might be some struggle periods later on as your mind and your body are so fatigued. This helps to really keep you fresh. So number 1, you decide on the task that needs to be done, all right? The Pomodoro technique. Number 1, decide on the task that needs to be done, all right? And I recommend doing the most important thing to start your day, your work day, the thing that's gonna have the greatest impact on everything else, the thing that's gonna knock over the other dominoes. And we talked about that on a recent episode with John Lee Dumas. So decide on the task that needs to be done. Number 2, set the timer. Set your timer to whatever minutes. Traditionally, it's 25-minute work chunks, but I like to work in a 60-minute to even 90-minute work chunk, and then I'll take a small break. Generally, it's gonna be 60 minutes. Number 3, work on the task until the timer goes off. And for a lot of people, traditionally, they put a check mark off on your paper or on your computer, say, hey, boom, that segment is done. Take a short break. This is gonna be around 5-minute break. And then after maybe 3 or 4, maybe even 2 of these cycles, then you take a longer 30-minute break. This could be when you get your lunch or whatever the case may be. So this is the strategy that I follow. And it was very difficult at first to tear myself away from work, whether it's writing or research or doing some client work, because you get into the flow. But every time I always come back fresher and sharper, and I have new ideas that I might have been struggling or mulling over trying to figure out. All right, so take those strategic breaks. Then, so I work for about an hour, then I have breakfast at about 10:30. And in the past episode 90 that I mentioned earlier, we talked more about what my nutrition is looking like, what I'm eating. So you can check that out, and there's some really cool links to some stuff in there as well. So definitely check out episode 97 if you haven't already. And there's a PDF that comes along with that episode that really gets into what I'm eating and why I'm eating it. So then I'll work some more. Lunch is going to be around 1:30. I'll work some more. And then I'll get some grounding time in on one of my 5-minute breaks. This means getting my feet out on the earth itself, you know. And I have yet to do this in the snow. It has not snowed here in the Midwest at this point. I don't even know if I'm going to go that far, but I do have some earthing technology in my office. So I have a mouse pad. I have earthing sheets for my bed. And we're going to talk more about that in a future episode. We've got a really important and incredible guest to talk about it. One of the originators or creators of the earthing technology. And it's going to be coming up soon to talk about all the benefits. I'm not going to get too much into it today. Just understand that when your body is connected to the Earth's surface itself, it's brimming with free electrons. And there's an immediate drop in the static electricity that you're carrying around and your cortisol levels. And this is, you can actually see this statistically, and there's amazing studies that are done. Cortisol levels normalize as well. It's pretty powerful stuff. And that's just from getting your body's very, very conductive. Just like, you know, if you stick a butter knife into a light socket, you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have a bad day. But we think about that kind of stuff, but we don't really realize that your body's conductive regardless. You know, you're very, very conductive. So touching the Earth's surface itself can help to elicit some of those processes. So I get my unprocessed vitamin G. I call it vitamin G, the ground, earth, directly 5 minutes a day at minimum. You know, when it's nicer outside and, you know, different stuff is going on, it's a lot easier. You know, a lot of times during the spring and summer, I'd actually would sit outside and do some of my writing outside. So really great ways to do that. But if you can make a mandate to just get some of that time in directly, but if you live in a place where, you know, I just was in New York City recently, and wow, first of all, shout out to everybody in New York City. What an incredible city. I mean, it was my first time there, so I had no idea what to expect. You know, I just knew about the hustle and bustle, you know, but yeah, people there definitely, if you just look around, people look like they are going somewhere. You know, they are focused on their thing. But also there are a lot more fit people in that city than pretty much any city I've been to. And it was impressive. And it's because, of course, there's a lot more mobility and movement and activity going on. But there's healthy food, you know, organic restaurants and natural food markets. Like it's hard to go a couple of blocks and not see one. A juice bar. You know, so people are really on it in New York City, a lot of people, and that percentage is just growing. So big shout out to you guys. And that experience showed me one thing, though, is that it's not always a viable option for people to go and just get connected to the earth. You know, Central Park, absolutely awesome place to go for sure. But just stepping outside, being able to step into your own backyard, it's not easy for everybody out there, you know, so we don't want to be dogmatic and tell everybody, hey, this is what you need to do to be healthy. No, there's something you can add in, but you can also find really creative alternatives like the earthing technology to get some of those benefits of being connected to the earth itself. So right after I do my vitamin G time, my earthing time, I'll do some mobility work. And this is just, you know, getting into a resting squat, you know, working on my IT band, you know, maybe working on I've got some tight wrists going on right now, and just working on that for my front squats and doing muscle ups and cool stuff like that. By the way, hopefully you're following me on Instagram, on Insta. I'm at Shawn Model on Instagram, and I showed a video recently of doing the muscle ups. And it's something I just learned how to do, and it just kind of clicked. I was trying to do it for like 2 months, and it's not the strength. You know, I was able to do like, you know, 25 plus pull-ups pretty easily, but I just couldn't get up over that bar. And because it's the technique, you know, it's a skill. And it was actually incredible. Once I got up there, I was just like, holy moly, what am I doing up here? And I could just go right into it and do it over and over again. So that video is there on Instagram. So hopefully you're following me there. but I'll do that mobility work, and then I will get back to finishing up my workday. Then I've got my time with my family. That's going to happen around 5 o'clock when everybody's getting home. And then we're going to have dinner, and that's going to be finished by around 7:30. And why that is, that allows for a full solid 12 hours of me fasting, all right, from the end of dinner to the morning when I'm having my Superman tea or Superwoman tea for the ladies. All right, which, by the way, there's a lot of different versions to that. You can use some grass-fed butter, and some MCT oil is really famous. You can use some ghee, the coconut oil, or just different combinations of all that stuff. There's lots of cool stuff that you can do. All right, so that's why I do that. I'm done with dinner by 7:30, so we're generally eating between 6:30, 7 o'clock is when we're gonna have dinner. Then I hang out with my kids, or I might handle a couple of little outstanding work tasks, which have been a little bit crazy actually as of late. Not the past few weeks, but prior to that. And this is because something really important I want to announce to you guys today, and this is as good a time of any to talk about it, is that I've been working, just putting my heart and soul tirelessly into this amazing book. And as mentioned before in previous episodes, we have a book deal with Rodale. So the model health community is really pushing out to the forefront. Rodale is one of the top publishers in the country and a huge entity. And they're responsible for like Men's Health Magazine, Runner's Magazine, Women's Health Magazine, but also some powerhouse New York Times bestselling books like Wheat Belly. And we've had on Dr. William Davis, for example. But here's what the deal is, guys. March 15th, 2016, Sleep Smarter, expanded edition, is getting launched nationwide. Every Barnes & Noble store, Amazon, everywhere that you buy books, you're going to be able to pick up a copy of Sleep Smarter. Rodale was incredibly passionate and fighting to get me on board to get this message out to more people, to help really change the conversation about sleep health across our country and across the world. So we're going to be translating the book as well as several other countries coming up soon. But that's going to be later in the year. So I'm really excited to announce this to you guys. I basically doubled the size of the book because some of the information and the feedback that I would get from the book, and this was a big reason that Rodale wanted to get their hands on us and Sleep Smarter, was because of the stories that they were hearing about, you know. But with those stories where people come in and saying things like, I love the book, this changed my life, I was finally able to do such and such, you know, I had struggles with this and now this, all these great reviews and feedback. But then people be like, my only concern is that the book wasn't longer, you know? And who says that about a book? I mean, really, I wish it was longer. And so actually what I did when I initially wrote the book, I wrote it from really the perspective of just giving powerhouse nuggets, take this, go do this. Whereas now I've really fleshed out a lot of the things that I wanted to say in the first place. You know, so I dedicated an entire chapter talking about how nutrition relates to sleep, specific sleep nutrients, nutrients that are related to the whole hormone building process that puts you in a deep state of sleep, right? We talk about gut health and how that relates to sleep, and it is shocking. We did a new chapter really dedicated to body work and how massage therapy and acupressure, statistically proven, clinically proven, like mind-blowing stuff that a lot of people don't know about, in addition to all the other cool stuff that we have in the book. So it's coming soon, and you guys can actually get access. You can pre-order the book and get access to some incredible giveaways that I'm doing in addition with the book launch. And I'll tell you right now, if you head over there, you can go to sleepsmarterbook.com and check out some of these pre-order giveaways, and you're just going to be blown away. Like, it's not even going to make sense that we're giving this stuff away because of the great people I've been able to network with in this process of writing Sleep Smarter in the first place. It's put me in front of some of the most successful people in the country, and they've been wanting to just help, and they're giving away all this free stuff. You know, it's just, and I'm not talking about like, oh, you get a free PDF of some random thing. I'm talking about you'll get free food, all right? You'll get free supplements, that kind of stuff, all right? Stuff that even cancels out the cost of the book itself. But I'm sharing this with you guys, and I'm very, very passionate about this because this is really a dream come true for me, but it's part of my bigger mission. You know, I want to change the way that our society is operating. I want to change the landscape of health in our society because I know that healthy, happy people don't hurt other people automatically. It's really changing the culture, making sure that more of us are healthy and happy and able to make conscious decisions, and to take back control of our lives. It really matters a lot to me, and I appreciate you guys so much. So head over there. You can do that right now and pre-order the book, and I would appreciate it so much. sleepsmarterbook.com. So head over there, check it out. So that's what I've been working on, and it did bleed over into the evenings. A lot of times my workday was going from 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 at night, just writing and researching, and just, wow, it was an incredible experience. But the book is just, it's a beautiful, beautiful book. But also the information in there is absolutely game-changing. And I've got some huge stuff I want to tell you guys about it already, about some of the major publicity and things that are going to be happening with the book. But all you guys have been with me, and you guys are really the catalyst and the driving force for this happening. And I just want to thank you so much. All right, so time with the family is happening after dinner. Then one of the things that I'm doing recently is I'm taking a bath instead of the shower, all right? And here's why. You guys all know about Epsom salt for helping to improve sore muscles, improve sleep quality. Epsom salt is kind of a storied thing, but I'm using the magnesium Ease from Activation Products, which we had Ian Clark on the show recently. There's a magnesium liquid that goes into your bath, all right? And wow. So I've been doing that a lot of evenings. We'll just say, a couple evenings every week. But I'm still doing the contrast showers and stuff, and I'll do that in the morning. But in the evening, taking a bath has been a really interesting experience. I haven't done probably since I was a kid, And so, but after that, because of the increase in your body temperature by taking a warm or hot bath, there's that thermal regulation thing, which we talk about in Sleep Smarter. If your core body temperature is too high, it's not going to enable your body to get into the deeper, more rejuvenative, anabolic stages of sleep. So you want to make sure that you give your body time to cool itself back down. So either take the bath a little bit earlier. So this could be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if you're planning on getting to bed at 10:30, 11. But another way that you can assist your body in cooling back down is going from the hot tub. If you've got a hot tub, time machine. If you've got a hot tub, you can just go and hop into the shower and take a cold shower. And it actually feels pretty good. I don't know if anybody has been doing the contrast shower. I get a lot of messages of people doing it, and it's just like really added a whole new advantage to their life by doing the contrast shower. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what that is, check out the episode we did, which will be in the show notes, on cold thermogenesis. And you can see all the benefits there, from immune system function to fat loss. So you could check that out. And so that's what I'm doing in the evenings. A couple nights a week is taking the bath with the magnesium liquid in the bath water itself. So in the evening, after I get out of the tub and take the cold shower, or if I do the hot bath a little bit earlier, I don't necessarily take the cold shower afterwards. But after that, I'm putting on some evening pajama jammy jam, and I'm putting that stuff on, and I'm putting on also my blue light blocking glasses, all right, to hang out for the rest of the evening. And you guys know a lot about why that is, and we're going to do a show talking more about that in relationship to sleep. But basically, that's going to enable my body to produce more melatonin and suppress the cortisol that's going to be secreted by the LED lights. Because even if you're not looking at the computer screen, you're still, what about the lights in your house? So I'm putting those glasses on. And in the new edition of Sleep Smarter that's coming out with Rodale, we talk about the fact that it's not all light. It's not all light that causes the increase in cortisol and suppression of your melatonin. It's actually the color of light matters a lot, and the strength of the light makes all the difference in the world. So in the new edition of the book, I cite a study from Harvard Medical School that found that exposure to light at night throws the body's biological clock off and just makes it totally out of whack, which you already know that. But what they also discovered was that not all colors of light had the same effect. And so they did experiments with blue light, green light, etc. And it was really shocking, and I detailed all that in the book. But it's also helpful to remember that it's not just the color of light, but it's also the luminance, or the lux. It's measured in lux, L-U-X. And this is the unit used to measure the luminance of the light, or how bright and strong the light is. And so one of the things we also do in the evening is we have dimmers on the lights, so we can actually turn the lights down. So after putting my little boy to bed, this is the time I'll do my freedom journal, because I do it in the morning, just a couple minutes in the morning, a couple minutes in the evening. And this is when I'll do some quiet reading time. And I've always got some incredible books in the mix that I'm working on, that I'm reading through. And or I'm spending some time with my wife, some one-on-one, some adult time with my wife, because that's obviously really important, and it's important for me. So that's what's going on after the Freedom Journal, a little bit of reading, or I'm just gonna jump right into spending some time with my wife. And then I usually now I've made a practice of doing some quick mobility / kind of stretching right before bed, and then I hit the sack, and that's gonna be generally around 10:30. All right, so that's my new ritual. These are some of my new daily habits, and I hope that you got a lot of value out of this, and some ideas and some things to extract and possibly add to your life as well. And I appreciate you so much for tuning into the show today. And remember what Aristotle said: we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So make a decision to start to build some healthy habits in your life, and take on these tips that we've shared earlier to really enhance them, to get the support, to get the accountability until they become a part of who you are. Take care, have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.